Hey there everyone, I'm Ulf from HoboRec in Sweden, and I would like to start with saying a big thank you to Warren and all the other guys at Produce Like a Pro for having me here. And in this week's video, I'm going to show you a neat little trick on how to place your hi-hat a bit more to the left or right, depending on what you prefer in the overhead microphones. So to start off, this is kind of a continuation of a short video that we published on Instagram a while ago. So I can show you first what that was all about. Yeah, so this is where it all took place. I was recording drums here in our home for me and my girlfriend's project Blackbirch. And I didn't have the extra microphone stand to put a microphone on the hi-hat, because I didn't plan to put a microphone on the hi-hat. But I did have an extra SM57 and a couple of clips. So this is what I made, as I showed in the short video. And a lot of people commented and said it would never work because it's gonna be a lot of low-end rumble when using the pedal and stuff like that. But it actually works really, really good. And part of it is because the SM57 has this integrated shock mount inside the capsule. And also some of the low-end rumble that will be there doesn't actually matter because it's a hi-hat, so you don't need that low end, so you can just high pass that away. But we're gonna jump into the project. I'm gonna show you what I use it for, because also the placement here is a bit weird. I understand that. It makes the hi-hat really, really isolated, which is good when putting it in together with the overheads and stuff. Maybe it doesn't sound the best in this position, but it works good together with the rest of the microphones. There is a certain reason to why I have it there, because I don't use this direct sound from the microphone that much, only when I need to reinforce like hi-hat, yeah, the pedal stumps and stuff like that. But what I use it for is that I sidechain it to the overheads, because I'm not that good of a drummer, so I hit the hi-hat pretty hard, so I have plenty of hi-hat in the overheads. But sometimes I want the hi-hat to be placed more in that direction instead of turning up the volume of the hi-hat track, which will inevitably make just the hi-hat become louder. I sidechain that track to this side of the overhead. That will lower the volume of the hi-hat on this side in the overhead, and therefore move the placement over to this side. So I'm gonna show you in the Cubase project what I mean and how I set it up, and you're gonna hear the difference. So let's go. Back in the studio, let's have a look inside of Cubase. I'm gonna show you what it sounds like and how I use the close hi-hat mic to do a little trick. I'm going to show you here. I have this part. Kind of the reason why I wanted to place a microphone on the hi-hat to begin with was there are some parts where I'm stomping the hi-hat pedal, and it didn't really come through the way I wanted. So I wanted that to come through a little bit more, and yeah, that's this part. And without this extra hi-hat microphone, we got this. Yeah, so I can show you only the hi-hat mic here. There's a pretty steep low cut on this. The people that said it will take up a lot of vibrations are correct in a sense. It takes up a lot of low end from the stomping. Just easily get rid of that with some low cut. And this is what we got. Without the low cut. So together with the overheads and the room mics, sounds perfectly fine in this mix. So now we're gonna find a place where we play a little bit more hi-hat. So we have a part here in the song where there's a lot of hi-hat playing. I have the hi-hat mic here, and you can see the hi-hat is very isolated, so you get a lot of volume out of the hi-hat. That means we can use that to sidechain one side of the overhead microphones. This is left, this is right. The files here are labeled wrong. So in this mix, I have the hi-hat to my left because I'm mixing drummer's perspective. So I want to lower the volume on the right side to make the hi-hat appear more on the left side. So we have a compressor here set up with the sidechain in Cubase, and on the hi-hat track we have a send going to that compressor, and we have the send going pre-fader. Since the fader is down, we still want to send the signal to the compressor. So we can start with taking this compressor off. And just listen to the drum track. And so one reason to why the hi-hat is not that as much to the left as I want to is because I do an XY overhead miking, and I kind of split the drum kit in the middle. The snare and the kick drum is the middle, and that means that the hi-hat is not that far out left. It's pretty close to the snare. So I'd like the hi-hat to be more out to the left in the mix. So if we activate this compressor, we can take the threshold down a bit more, just to make the effect a bit more obvious. So just to make it even more clear, we can listen to only the overhead microphones, and then I'll activate the hi-hat microphone, and you're gonna see how the placement of the hi-hat shifts. Yeah, so as you see, I use the recorded hi-hat to move the hi-hat to the left without actually making the hi-hat any stronger in volume. So here's a little recap just to make everything super clear. On the overhead microphones we have left and right, and we want to soften the volume on the right side of the overheads. So we have a Cubase compressor here, and we activate the sidechain. On the hi-hat track we make a send, and here we choose the overhead right insert compressor, and we make sure to make the send pre-fader so we can have the volume turned down completely and still send the signal to the sidechain of the compressor. So if I have the hi-hat turned off, there is nothing going into the gain reduction. And if I turn it on, you see we get the hi-hat. You see we get the hi-hat sidechaining the right side of the overhead. Another thing in this session is that I made some samples of the drum kit to augment my snare hits. And also, since I'm not that of a technical drummer, I'm actually not playing the kick drum while recording. And so I took samples of the kick drum, and then I do MIDI kick drums, but with the same recording as the rest of the drum kit. As a little thank you of having me here at the channel, I have some samples of the snare drum and the kick drum, and they are even in multi-velocity layers. I will give them to you in wave format, and also I can prepare them in TCI, so you can just load them into Slate Trigger if you want to. So I think what you need to do is to sign up for the Produce Like a Pro email newsletter, and they will give it to you there. So just check the description below, and all the information should be there. So in this project, I loaded the samples into the sampler from Hertz Drums, which lets you either use their pre-made samples or you can load your own samples, which I did here. So here's my kick drum and snare. So what you're gonna get is you get the close mics, room mics, overhead mics, and everything separately, so you can combine it and mix them as you please. So once again, thank you so much to Produce Like a Pro for having me. I hope you enjoyed it and that you learned something new. Sidechaining is something that you can use very creatively in a lot of different situations. This is just one of them. If you have any other suggestions on experimentations you can do with sidechaining, let us know in the comments. I will be there trying to engage as much as I can. And yeah, as usual, give a thumbs up to the video, subscribe if you haven't already, check all the information in the description to find out more about me, signing up for the email list to get the drum samples and all that stuff. And yeah, thank you so much. I had a marvelous time. Bye bye. Cheers.